Hey everyone, it's Angela Marola, business coach to interior designers and architects and continuing education instructor. It has been a long time since I've seen you, so it's great to be here. And I'm just incredibly excited to talk about how to respond to clients who question your invoices. As a coach, this is one of the top 5 questions that I get asked about all the time. So I want to just dive in and talk about how you respond. And I want to start with a real live example from a client just yesterday. This is the email that she got, and I've changed the name. Hi, Jill. Wow. To say I'm a bit shocked would be an understatement. To open a bill for April for $500 when I have not met with you in person since February or even spoke with you is excessive. New to this process, I feel somewhat taken advantage of. I've kept silent until now, but at this point, I feel I've been backed into a corner whereby if I send you a question about a bill, I will be charged for your time. Perhaps I'm a little bit naive, but I wasn't aware how this business worked. I noticed X amount of billing for readjusting the budget for a project that has already gone over budget. You can imagine my surprise at yet another massive bill, particularly when I have not seen you for 2 months. We will pay this bill, but at this point, we are going to need to give approval for any additional work that's done. Best, Sarah. So this is just an email, the same as it's just a sample email, the same as what so many of you might get. So it's real. And so I want to just talk about 3 steps that you can do to respond. And the first step is that when you first met with a client, you have to remember back about what they said. Remember listening to them when you first met to them. They are going to tell you everything about themselves. They're going to tell you how they make decisions, if they're sensitive about money, what their relationship with their spouse is, who's making the real decisions. Do they have to have feedback and input from friends? Do they want to shop? Do they want to buy part themselves and have you do it? Have they worked with an interior designer before? They will tell you everything you need to know about them. And so this is the first step in responding to somebody who has a question about your bill. Remember that conversation. Now I'm going to give you a little bit about this particular person. They're very well, the one I just read to you. They're very wealthy. They're used to getting their way and doing whatever they want. She's young. She's newly married, and her husband is not completely on board with the kind of money that she spends. She asked for discounted services in the beginning of the relationship. They did sign a contract. They did understand what the fees were. They added this bill, this invoice is added to the original scope of work. She'd never used a designer before. And another family member, she was recommended by another family member who had a different arrangement than she has with this interior designer. She also selected something that was unknown to this designer, and she selected something that was 3 times more expensive than what the designer would have selected for her. That's a lot of information. Okay, step 2 before you respond is to decide the results that you want from this conversation. Decide the results that you want in this relationship. When you decide what you want and you list out, okay, I want to be paid, I want to have a good ending, I want to have a good relationship. Do you want to move forward with them or not? Or do you want to step away and recommend somebody else? What is it that you want to get from this conversation? That's step 2. Step 3 is make sure that you definitely ask for an in-person conversation. So just say, this is really a sensitive topic, and it would be better if we just talked about it in person. And I won't charge you for that time or whatever you want to do. Let's talk in person, and we can work it out, and I can explain this to you. Make sure you do that. If you start doing this via email, it's over. You're not going to win. It doesn't work. Text. So you have to make sure you have an in-person. Okay. And I want you to also think about this three step is to respond like you're a teacher. You have to sort of let go of the judgment, let go of the anger, decide that you're just going to realize where this client is at, that you've heard them, and you're going to respond like a teacher. So I'm going to just tell you what I told my client, and here we go. I've heard your concerns around the recent invoice, as well as the entire project, and I have a plan for our discussion. First, let's review the current invoice and talk about what's coming so we're on the same page with your project and we can finish it to your liking. How does that sound? So that is as you're talking with them, as you're meeting with them in person. Just so you know, an interior designer charges for their time. This is our business model. We have the connections with vendors and the knowledge of how things work, and you're paying for us to make that all happen seamlessly for you. So anytime there's a question, there's a revision, there are discussions, text, meeting, emails, anything, we are charging in 15-minute increments like a lawyer or a taxi. I love the taxi part. So this invoice includes our time covering blah, 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 blah. So you can say the chair recover, or whatever it was that you were doing, was in addition to our original scope of work and in addition to what we said in the contract, which might be why it looks like we are over budget. In fact, if we pull that project aside and out, we are in fact on budget, only if you are. Since you selected the fabric and it was 3 times higher than what I might have selected for you as a similar fabric, and if it wasn't for your passion and your extent of the research that you did when you presented to me this fabric for the chair, then I might have suggested something else, but you were very excited about it, so I just went with it. So here we are, we're working on a project outside their original budget and with a fabric that's very expensive. And then what happened later is as we were working with this particular vendor, they're out of Ireland, which is, we found out was there's a lot more expenses. And also we realized they're extremely disorganized than the vendors that we typically work with. So it took us quite a bit of time to get what we needed to do. It's important to know that when we create custom orders, that is yours, that we can't return those. That is why they're called custom. So I would like to be able to share my advice based on knowing you and all the design elements that I understand for the past 20 years that can help you create your vision. So that's what you're paying for. You're paying for me and my expertise in order to do that. And it will save you money in the long run making costly mistakes and or selecting vendors and products that have a good track record. So this covers this invoice. And what other questions and clarifications do you have? So that is, in a nutshell, you kind of get the feel, the look, the tone of my voice, how I'm sort of a teacher. I've brought in information from what the situation was when I first met with them. And you have an opportunity to just be very positive and sort of work through it. So those are my 3 steps, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.